the Chicago Bulls. I've said this on the show. I feel like this is a great time for Chicago sports if you're not owned by Jerry Reinsdorf. You got the Cubs. The Cubs are, even though the Cubs are entertaining to say the least. We can say that, maybe they should add a couple things. Maybe Jed Hoyer is penny pinching, but they're at least entertaining. They're in the race for the NL Central. Angel Reese has already taken over the city. Like they have their home opener even tomorrow. I done seen posters of her downtown. She's everywhere. The Sky getting some good momentum. Of course, the Blackhawks got Connor Bedard. They got the number 2 pick. They got things going. Of course, we just named the Bears. But everybody still loves, but we still love the Bulls. Bulls is a basketball town.
Right.
AK came out in his season-ending presser and said that, change is going to be made.
What does Mark Eversley do? What does Mark Eversley do?
West Side West is going to call him on the show. West Side West is going to be calling on the show.
Hey, man, you mess around and call him Detroit Pistons head of basketball operations.
Oh, they gave it to Trajan Langdon.
Yeah, they gave it to Buddy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They gave it to the Alaskan assassin.
Well, then, I don't know, man. I don't know. Listen. It's crazy. I walk around, I be hanging out, and people are like, hey, man, I hate to ask you, but, man, what the Bulls going to do, man? And I'm like, yo, listen, if one person, I'll put it like this. When we talk about championships and sustainable success and all that, and I had this conversation on the Bulls Talk podcast with Tony and KC and everybody. Yo, you're only as good as your talent evaluators.
Yep.
That's it, man. That's it. Look at this Final Four that we watching. Indiana started that thing, you look at Tyrese, you look at Miles Turner, you look at they got a lot of, I love Ben Shepherd, they got a lot of nice little pieces. They started that thing by saying, hey, Karis LeVert, we appreciate that you can get 17 a game, but we're gonna have to get this thing rolling. And from there, they just started to take down the team. That was 2.5, 3 years ago, right? Look at what New York's doing right now. They just building a nest for everybody to be like, hey, it's finally okay to come play for New York, right? Atlanta. The Trae Young thing ain't working. It's time for us to move on. Cleveland, they fired JB Bickerstaff. They fired him because they're like, right. Apparently, we're supposed to be in the Eastern Conference Finals if we Cleveland, which is crazy to me, right? They got decisions to make, but they lured Donovan Mitchell there and they made it work. Like the Bulls, only team that did not make a move in the last 3 years of the trade deadline. They aren't a luxury tax team. You're getting ready to talk about teams now here with this new CBA that are going to get into that second apron of tax and be like, hey, man, we got to win. And then when you truly look around, hey, Minnesota put that thing. Hey, remember when people were laughing in this very city about the Rudy Gobert trade and the Rudy Gobert the Rudy Gobert rumors to this? Yeah. When Vooch was making jokes about having real estate in Salt Lake City and all that, right? Oh, how could you trade those picks for that's the Kevin Durant haul? Guess who's in the Western Conference Finals?
Who's in the Western Conference Finals?
You know why? Because you procured your picks and you're like, these are the assets that we don't need anymore. I love when draft picks. I love when my team is like, hey, by the way, we just traded that to Charlotte. We don't need this shit. we don't need another 19-year-old. We cool. Appreciate you. You know what I mean? Hey, go ahead and put Corey Benjamin's name in real quick so we can act like we care about this draft. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Those times.
Right. We watching
Mr. Byron Houston era.
Yeah, I saw that dude in the NCAA tournament in the final game. He must be.
I know, buddy.
Right. So somebody just sit at the end of the bench. Like, you look at the talent evaluate. These teams don't get here by chance. Brad Stevens was like, hey, I'm going to be a lot better if I pick these things. This dude down here can do this. Like, the question is, do you trust the talent evaluator? That's it.
I don't trust one of them is working.
That's it. And if you do or you don't, look at the profile of the teams that are in play right now. Mike Conley is like the oldest player that matters.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't trust nothing over there. I don't trust the Uber lot over there. I don't trust nothing involving the Bulls.
I don't trust Rose new meniscus.
Well, that's the other thing too. Like,
yeah.
There's a lot riding on Lonzo still.
Podcast Lonzo.
After 2 years where people are like, hey, let's let's make it seem, not make it seem, but let's go on like this ain't happening. This ain't going, like the carrot on the stick was more important for Lonzo to get through his rehab and to just live a normal life again. Now, am I hoping that Lonzo Ball can play for the rest of his, promised career? Sure, but nobody's come back from that thing yet. And nobody's come back and done it. Like, yeah, people have tried to come back and then gone and seen that, hey, this NBA schedule wear and tear, this ain't gonna hold up. Am I wishing that he's the guy that breaks that spell, breaks that curse, breaks that streak? Yeah. But when I look at the team, there are a lot of pieces that don't fit, right? So this is the reason why you win 40 games or 39 games or 41, because you can win that many games with how talented they are. But then when the pieces don't fit on certain nights, or there's an ingredient that you haven't had on the team for a couple of years that keeps showing up, whether it's shooting, or whether it's a stable point guard in terms of like distribution and pace. Like these things keep popping up and you can't or haven't addressed them sufficiently enough. And, you find yourself in a play-in situation. And not one of those teams that think they can win the play-in situation and head to the playoffs and beat teams like Miami does every single year. And that has to come to an end too, right? Like everybody got to start to rethink the way they put these teams together. And do you have an imaginative and trustworthy enough talent evaluator or staff to make that come to fruition? It remains to be seen. JB Bickerstaff. I mean, Wes Unseld Jr. is on the
joined the staff.
They got the other, my man, I forget, is it Dan Longshore or something like that? They brought another cat in there to help, because after a while, you're removing all the variables and it's like, all right, who is it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, because Billy Donovan ain't going nowhere.
Ain't Billy. It's Buddy up top. It's always, I think Charles Barkley said this. Like, I love to be GM. I get to fire 4 people before I get fired, man. So I'm going to see how all that's going to play out, man. I hope they give me something to at least be watchable. Because I'm a diehard Bulls fan, man. I hope that happens. But
that paper on this player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not